Good morning. Welcome into First Take. I'm Molly Karam. That is Stephen A. Smith. And Stephen A., today is International Women's Day. So happy International Women's Day to all the ladies. You've got this. Keep going. And my heart and prayers, of course, both of ours, are with all the women in Ukraine.
As everybody knows that watches this show, I was raised by 5 women. So as far as I'm concerned, every day is National Women's Day, International Women's Day. That's just the way it goes. Men who were raised by women know this. We're smart enough to know that.
And Stephen A., we're going to begin the show with a very strong woman, so let's get right to it.
Let's get right to it.
Russell Westbrook's wife, Nina, took to Twitter to detail the criticism and death wishes her family has received in her husband's first season with the Lakers, tweeting this: "When I'm being harassed on a daily basis over basketball games and I'm having obscenities and death wishes for me and my family sent my way because you're expressing your truth, it's hard for me to get on board with that. As far as my husband goes, he is his own person. I don't need to defend him. I love and support him through all the unwarranted hate and negativity that he receives. I speak up and share my experience and knowledge for those who do not have a voice." Russell then also addressed the harassment they've been subject to, saying he and his wife are speaking out for 2 reasons: to defend the honor of the family name and to protect their children.
Once it starts to affect my family, my wife, even today, my mom said something about it today, and it affects them even going to games. Like I don't even want to bring my kids to the game because I don't want them to hear people calling their dad nicknames and out of their names for no reason because he's playing the game that he loves. And it's gotten so bad where, you know, my family don't even want to go to home games, to any game, because of, not just the media across the globe use their platforms to constantly shame me. It's just super unfortunate, man. And it's super upsetting to me. And I'm at a point, to where I'm going to continue to address it. It's just unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. It's beyond the pale and it's gone too far. Stephen A., your reaction to this entire situation involving Russell Westbrook and his family in his first season with the Lakers?
Couple of things. My heart goes out to Mrs. Westbrook and their children. I want to say that. There's no excuse for this. There are some despicable, reprehensible people in this world who will use every excuse under the sun to spew venom and beyond. Death wishes to a wife and a family. First of all, that's inexcusable under any circumstances, but particularly when you consider the times that we're living in. The fact that anybody would do something like that to his family, it's terrorizing and it's inexcusable, and nobody on the planet should condone in any way that kind of behavior towards anybody. That's number one. Having said that, I definitely understand what Russell Westbrook is feeling when he spoke at his post-game conference, because you're a man, and any man worth his salt that's worth anything knows that his number one responsibility to his family is to provide and protect. Provide and protect. And not necessarily in that order sometimes, but always to protect. And so when the wife is uncomfortable and you're uncomfortable with your children coming to a game because you're afraid at how they're going to be treated, it's not just about the heckling of their dad, it's about the threats. That's what I'm focused on.
Yeah.
There's no place for it. It's inexcusable. As far as I'm concerned, we should do everything we can to find out who the hell those people are, have them arrested. That's how I feel about it, because it's inexcusable. Having said all of that, Russell Westbrook himself, and I'm speaking to the man that is the star basketball player for the Los Angeles Lakers, with all due respect, my brother, you do not get a pass here. And I'm going to say that loud and clear, because what we're going to do is we're going to chronicle everything involving Russell Westbrook. And that's where this gets thick. Russell Westbrook shouldn't be threatened. Russell Westbrook shouldn't have to deal with his family being threatened. That is entirely true. You being heckled as a basketball player is not beyond the pale. it's not beyond the scope. Fans do have a right to boo you. I've never called you West Brick, but the bottom line is, you know what West Brick means. It means that you can't shoot. And being that you are a player in this league, getting the minutes that you're getting, you are statistically speaking the worst three-point shooter in basketball. Let's understand that. That's who you are. You're one of the league leaders in turnovers. Those are relevant nuggets of information that you cannot escape. But even that, here's where Russell Westbrook, to me, and I'm paying attention to what he said in the post-game conference, this is where Russell Westbrook has to come into play. And as Magic Johnson, the great Irvin Magic Johnson, the 5-time champion as a point guard for the Los Angeles Lakers, Magic Johnson, so eloquently stated on NBA Countdown this past Saturday with all of us standing courtside next to him. He talked about Russell Westbrook accepting accountability. Well, there are reports that you're tussling with the coach. You've been on the record saying that they got you all over the place, asking you to do one thing one day, asking you to do something else another day. All of those things may be very, very valid. But what's inescapable and what's undeniable is that it's inexcusable as the behavior of some fans may be towards you. And while your family clearly doesn't deserve any of it, and neither do you as it pertains to threats, the heckling part is what I'm talking about. My brother, you brought that on yourself. Let me count the ways. Russell Westbrook is in the nation's capital. I will remind y'all to go look at the clips. Championships don't mean nothing to me. I'm happy. I see plenty of champions who are less happier in life than me. Number one. Number two, you come to Los Angeles and you're struggling and they ask you about whether or not you take this home with you. Psst, please, taking that stuff home with me. Y'all can take that stuff home with y'all. I'm good. I'm good. Number two. Number three, you showed up in the aftermath of a game after saying those things, and you did it again. You talked about, hey, you know, I'm all right. I'm good. Every impression that you have given is that you're going to play hard when you're on the court. But no matter what, you got your money. You good. And championships are not a priority. That's the impression that you've given. And what did I say? You can't do that wearing a Laker uniform. You can't do that representing that franchise. You can get away with that playing for the Washington Wizards. You can't get away with that playing for the Los Angeles Lakers. Shaquille O'Neal went on the record, said that he was very disappointed that Russell Westbrook said that. Charles Barkley won't even call them by name. Call them a bunch of old geezers and stuff like that. He said the team in Southern California won't even call them by name. Magic Johnson said, if they lose the play-in game, this could go down as the worst trade in Lakers history, okay? All of this stuff is relevant because all of this stuff, you got legends coming out and talking about Russell Westbrook. They're not talking about just his game. They're talking about the attitude that you've disseminated to the masses. You basically told Laker Nation to kick rocks. You don't give a damn. You good. You can't do that representing the Los Angeles Lakers. And that is the part that Russell Westbrook has missed. So while you're sitting here today, last night, and you're talking about, Molly, hey, I can't stand for this, I can't take this, et cetera, Laker Nation is standing up, unfortunately, some in a very disrespectful, as far as I'm concerned, illegal way. And they're saying, you care now? You hear us now? Because they're paying their hard-earned money. They're coming to see you play. And even though you never cheat folks with effort, when you give that kind of message in a post-game conference They're not going to forget it. Many players.
Let me know when I can get in there, 'cause I have questions for you.
Many players worse than Russell Westbrook have never been subjected to what he's being subjected to. Why all of a sudden would he be subjected to it? You're being subjected to it because of what you say when you're interviewed, what you say in the press conferences. That's why they're saying it to him. They know he's been bad, but there are many Lakers who have been worse over the years. They're saying this because of what he has said publicly.
Okay, you articulated everything perfectly, but I just want to make sure not to convolute the two issues. Obviously, we're
convolute.
both saying threatening someone's family,
Of course not.
Their children, their wife is beyond the pale, unacceptable, and like you said, those people should face criminal charges,
criminal
right?
charges.
Absolutely. Now, as far as Westbrook and how he addressed the media, you're saying that's almost more egregious than his play. But let me ask you this, Stephen A., because I want to give a little perspective. When you're going through it, sometimes you might come from the vantage point of, hey, things aren't going great in my life, but I'm blessed. I have family. I have health, right? He's kind of giving that broader perspective. And I understand you want him to come out and say, you know, this is unacceptable. We got to play better. But tell me this. How should he address the media? Because is he supposed to sit up there and say this is a disaster?
Molly, I'm playing like trash. I got to do better. Damn, I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't know I was going to be this bad. I really got to get my act together and save the truculent and acerbic attitude for others. The fact of the matter is Russell Westbrook doesn't have a leg to stand on based on his performance. I'm not talking about the threats. Of course, that's inexcusable. They should be found and arrested.
Okay.
And his family and his children, I know his father. His mother and father are wonderful people. His brother's cool people. Russell Westbrook is a good man. He's very philanthropic, very charitable with his time, donations. He's running business. I mean, if you go near Burbank and stuff like that, forgive me if I don't know specifically where it is. I mean, I saw blocks and blocks and blocks of businesses that all said Westbrook. Yep. The brother's doing big things, and he cares about people that society has written off. This brother is a special dude. Russell Westbrook is not a bad dude by any stretch of the imagination, but he comes across as somebody who invites the pariah status, doesn't give a damn about what people think or have to say. You cannot do that representing the Los Angeles Lakers when you're playing like he's playing. You could do that when you Kobe, and you got 5 championships to lean on. You could do that when you Shaq, when you winning chips, and you going in the community and being Shaq Claus. You could do that when you Magic. Hell, you could be a Serbic and be Kareem, one of the greatest ever. You could do that. LeBron just arrived in L.A. He can do that. You cannot do that when you're Russell Westbrook.
Let me play devil's advocate for one more minute. But is this who he's always been? Is this how he'll always address the media? And should he change now?
Well,
just to appease people.
Molly,
that's not who you are.
Yes, but Molly, well, first of all, with all due respect, I win at what I do. That's number one. Because I can get away with it. If I was losing and I was low in the ratings and I was begging the audience to support me because they never do, maybe my attitude would be a little bit different. But I happen to be a nice guy anyway. I just have a frown from time to time. But I laugh, I smile, I have a good time. My point to you is this. I also understand who I'm representing. You see what I'm saying? I represent ESPN. I represent Walt Disney. It's Mickey Mouse. It's a happy place. You got to know how to laugh, joke, have a good time, all of this other stuff. Russell Westbrook is not in Oklahoma City. He's not in Houston. He's not in Washington, D.C. He's with the Lakers. It's his hometown. You know these fans. You grew up loving them. You aspire to be a Laker. But when Magic Johnson, the great Magic Johnson, calls you out because of how you played against the Dallas Mavericks in the playoffs, you were awful in the fourth quarters at times in terms of your decision making. Okay, do you know he held that against Magic Johnson for years? Do you know that it was years before I spoke to Russell Westbrook because I talked about his play? You talking about, oh, it should just be about basketball, but when it is about basketball, you got an attitude about that too. And so what happens is this great man, this man that's a contributor to the community, who cares about his fellow man, who cares about his community. He definitely loves his family, his children, his parents, his siblings, all of that other stuff. It gets lost in the shuffle because you're walking around like you're the victim when in fact, all anybody is saying to you is, damn, bro, we didn't know you were going to be this bad. You got to get yourself together. You got muscles, you got broad shoulders, you got pythons for arms and all of this other stuff. And guess what? It's affected your shot.
Yeah.
You're not making shot. Molly, they back up, they do like this. This is what defenders are doing.
No, I'm with you.
Shoot, please shoot. That's what they're doing to him.
We do have to move on. I just have to ask you one last question before we get to Aaron Rodgers here. Do you know if any of his teammates or Lakers brass have spoken to him about how he's addressing the media?
I don't know that. To be quite honest with you, Russell Westbrook is known as an incredibly prideful and strong-willed individual.
Mm-hmm.
He believes in doing things his way. But I will close by saying this.
Okay.
Kevin Durant was his teammate.
Mm-hmm.
James Harden was his teammate. Serge Ibaka was his teammate. Reggie Jackson was his teammate. Paul George, James Harden again, Victor Oladipo, Bradley Beal, and now LeBron James and Anthony Davis. You'd be hard-pressed to find any star in the history of basketball anywhere in the globe that had those collections of teammates at one time or another and has 0 championships to show for it. That should be something while you're playing that grates your every last nerve. It should not embolden you to stand before the press and before the audience and say, hey, I'm good. I got my family. I got my life. I got my money. I'm straight. Because those people that's walking through the turnstiles to pay to see you play and to see an elevated level of production are not happy. It does not excuse any threats whatsoever to him or his family. But does it excuse the heckling? You damn right it does. Yes, you can be heckled. You, not your children, not your wife, but you, yes, that comes with it.
We'll leave it there. And good for his wife for speaking out, because it is unacceptable, and good for her for standing behind her man, as always. All right, let's go to a little football. It's franchise tag day in the NFL, so we got a deadline, Stephen A. That means the Packers have until this afternoon to get a long-term deal done with top receiver Davante Adams. If no deal is completed, the team will have to use the franchise tag to keep Adams. The $20 million immediately hits the team's cap, but who will be throwing him the ball? The Packers have already made a significant long-term contract offer to Aaron Rodgers that would alter the quarterback market. The Broncos also lurking as a potential contender to land Rodgers, with a source telling ESPN that Denver is willing to compete to acquire him either through a new contract or draft pick compensation. Rodgers is weighing his options, but is expected to make a decision soon about his future in the NFL. There he is, my guy, Damian Woody, in front of the baby grand. Good to see you, sir. Thank you for being with us.
What's up, Liberace? How you doing, bro?
Good morning.
What's up, man?
I'm good, man.
What's up?
I'm glad, hey, Stephen A., before we get going, man, I'm glad that you were able to address the whole Russell Westbrook situation, because you know me, I'm a Lakers fan, and I'm not happy about any of this stuff going on out there in L.A., but these fans you gotta know when to draw the line, man. Like, when you start getting into the family, attacking the family, that's a no-go. That's a no-go. But I'm glad you addressed that.
Before I let you move on, did you disagree with anything that I said? Just so the audience knows, did you disagree with anything I said?
No, because listen, I think here's what I think, Stephen A. Sometimes with players being in their feelings too much, can't take criticism. I think the criticism that you shot at Russell Westbrook is right on. You got to be able to take that. That's part of the business. When you sign a contract, that's part of everything that comes with it. But when you get away from that and you start attacking the family who have nothing to do with what's going on with the on the court product, that's when I got to step up. I got to protect my family on that.
We totally agree. Let's go back to football.
Yeah, Damian, let's start with you here, because we haven't heard your opinion. Where are you on this whole Rodgers-Davante Adams situation?
Well, listen. If the question is, I think the question was like, if Aaron Rodgers is still a top 5 quarterback, without Aaron Rodgers, the question is, the answer is absolutely not. He's not a top 5 quarterback without Davante Adams, and all you have to do, Stephen A., is just look at the numbers. The numbers bear it out, without any question. Davante Adams last year, who in my opinion, maybe the top receiver in the National Football League. This dude had over 1,500 yards receiving. No question, he is an absolute stud. Stephen A., you know what the next receiver for the Green Bay Packers had last year? that would be Alan Lazard with only 500 yards receiving. Stephen A., the problem with, as great as Aaron Rodgers is, the problem is when you have that type of disproportionate pass attempts to one receiver, it leaves you liable when things aren't going your way. And you know when it crept up the worst? In the championship game against the 49ers. Okay, you had Aaron Jones who have over 100 yards receiving. You had Devontae Adams who had 90 yards. The next receiver, Alan Lazard, had one catch for 6 yards. They scored 10 points. So the quarterback position is so player dependent. You can't have one dominant guy and then everybody else is average to mediocre. So you take Devontae Adams out of that equation? No, he's not a top 5 guy. I'm sorry.
I think he is. I think he is regardless, because I think that as great as Devontae Adams is, let's see how great he'd be if Baker Mayfield or somebody was throwing him the football. I think that a lot is there to be said about the star quarterback. I get where you're coming from because Devontae Adams is big time. 3 of the last 4 years, he's had a minimum of 111 receptions for a minimum of 1,300 plus yards on the season, 1,500 plus yards this past season. We know that he's big time and arguably the best receiver in football. We get that part, and I'm not disputing that. And, of course, you look at the discrepancy in him being targeted. What is he targeted? I got the numbers in front of me. He was targeted 169 times. The next receiver was really Aaron Jones, who was your running back, who's targeted 65 times, and Lazard is a wide receiver. He was targeted 60 times. There's a clear discrepancy in that regard. But is it because Devontae Adams was the only guy, or is it because Aaron Rodgers wanted to get that dude the football because not only is he a bad brother, but he had a contract year coming up? We got to pay attention to all of that other stuff as well. And so what I'm saying to you is you 13-3 and you exercise a formula that's been working for you because the previous 2 years you had a 13-win season as well. And Devontae Adams is that dude. Plus he's looking for a new contract. And plus you had injuries to the other players as well. It would substantiate just the thought process of you targeting Devontae Adams more so than anybody else. But here's my thing about Aaron Rodgers. What have we said about him religiously, particularly in the regular season? The brother is incredibly accurate. There are very, very few people, if anyone, in NFL history that could throw the dimes that he throws with the level of accuracy that he throws and as continuously as he's done so. So I think Aaron Rodgers has the kind of skill set that can make guys look better than they would look almost anywhere else. And because of that, I'm not saying it's somebody that can measure up to Devontae Adams, but I think it could be enough for us to still look at Aaron Rodgers as a top 5 quarterback in this league, even if he doesn't have Devontae Adams at his disposal.
Well, look, Stephen A., let me ask you a question. Do you knock the postseason for Aaron Rodgers? Because what we've seen in the postseason now the past couple years is a guy that, you claim to be he's a bad man. He does all of this. Do you think 10 points is acceptable? Do you
Unacceptable.
think, having like a little bit over 200 yards passing is acceptable for a guy that's supposed to be, that's a 4-time league MVP? Like, do you think that's acceptable?
Well, I don't think it's acceptable, but I'll answer the question this way. That's this past playoffs. The previous playoffs, he did get to the NFC Championship game before he didn't do what we know he's capable of doing. So there are playoff wins that are mixed in between those things, plus back-to-back 13-win seasons prior to this past 13-win season as well. So we can't ignore all of those things. Again, I'm not ignoring the playoff futility either, because I think when you're that great, because we all know he's great, he's a 4-time league MVP, he's back-to-back MVPs right now. When you are that great, and you come up short, I think it's even more flagrant against you that you came up short. See, to me, I've gone a step further, Big Wood. This is me. The man ain't won the Super Bowl since 2010. I've been calling him a bad man because I firmly believe that. I think he's the baddest quarterback I've ever seen in my life, period, okay? But the bottom line is, with that comes tremendous responsibility. And if you haven't even gotten to a Super Bowl since 2010, with your level of greatness, there's simply no excuse. Now, if you Dan Marino, you had the excuse because Don Shula, God rest his soul, never gave him a defense. You gave him Chuck Muncie and Mark Superduper and Mark Clayton and those boys on offense, but he never had a defense. That's not the case with Aaron Rodgers. You know this as well as I do. Aaron Rodgers has had stuff around him. Matt LaFleur's got to answer for how horrid that special teams was against San Francisco in the divisional playoff game. game. But the bottom line is he's had a pretty damn good team, and he's had multiple shots at the apple, multiple bites at the apple to get to the Super Bowl, and he hasn't. And that makes it glaring. But it still doesn't erase what he is, because he is a bad brother.
Yeah, listen, I think the one thing, if I'm going to knock Aaron Rodgers, and listen, I totally feel Aaron Rodgers is a bad man. No question, 4-time league MVP. I think when I look at a guy like Tom Brady, you know what made Tom Brady, why I was so enamored with Tom Brady as well? It's because he was able to lift others up around him. Some guys that were like no-name guys and elevated them up to star status. He did it throughout his whole career. Okay, and I just look at Aaron Rodgers, especially this past year. When you talk about that discrepancy between your number one receiver and your number two, like, come on, man. Like, you're a 4-time MVP. You have to elevate these guys around you. If you want to be considered the elite of the elite, like the way you talk about Aaron Rodgers,
but wait a minute,
to elevate those guys around you.
I'm not disputing that, Woody, but the point is that you have a stronger argument if there is no Davante Adams next year and he doesn't get anything done, and then people are still trying to call him that bad brother, a top 5 quarterback. What I'm saying is, as of right now, he is. So the question is based on an assumption. If you don't have Davante Adams, will you be a top 5 quarterback? I'm saying Aaron Rodgers is so great from a skill standpoint. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong in a regular season. Prove to me that without Davante Adams, you ain't going to find somebody else to get 1,300 yards in a season. I mean, there was Jordy Nelson. There was Randall Cobb. Okay, you got Davante Adams. We've seen Valdez-Scantling. We've seen others that have shown up playing with Aaron Rodgers, and they've looked pretty damn good because Aaron Rodgers is throwing them the football. I can't ignore that.
Like, again, I'm gonna say it, Stephen A. To have that type of discrepancy, right. I think if somehow, some way, and I know he's gonna probably get franchise tag. If somehow, some way, Davante Adams leaves Green Bay, are we still putting Aaron Rodgers in there with Patrick Mahomes?
I'm saying we got to find out. Hold on. Has he not earned the right? Has Aaron Rodgers? Hold on. Has Aaron Rodgers not earned the right for us to find out what he'd be without Davante Adams if it ended up that way? I'm saying to just automatically demote him without even a game being played without Davante Adams. I mean, we consider it, and I'm pointing the finger at Aaron Rodgers because, damn it, you could come up with 14 points to beat San Francisco. But I can also look at Davante Adams and say, damn, you couldn't get open enough? Because if you got open enough, I think Aaron Rodgers would have gotten you the damn football. I can look at other elements on the Green Bay's offense.
I mean, hell, he got targeted. What was the number you said? 169 times he got targeted
this
past
playoffs.
year? I mean, how much more does he have to get over?
I was talking about the playoffs. I'm saying in that playoff game, because of what we saw Davante Adams doing during the regular season, I could sit up there and look at you and ask, did you get open in the postseason? I could ask you that too. Of course, most of the culpability goes on Aaron Rodgers' shoulders. No disagreement there. But I could also look at my receivers and say, did you get open? Did the San Francisco defense have you on lock and key? Did we not look at DeMeco Ryans as the defensive coordinator in San Francisco and say, hey, this is a golden boy that's going to be in a position to get a head coach, one of these head coaching jobs because of how that defense looked? Well, how did that defense look so damn good? It's because they shut down Aaron Rodgers, but is it possible that they shut down Aaron Rodgers because receivers weren't getting open and you couldn't give them the ball? Is that possible?
Listen, I'm going back to the original question. If Davante Adams is not on Green Bay, is he top 5?
And I'm saying you got to prove it.
I'm saying
you got to
no.
show it to me. You just going to just automatically demote him. Ain't a training camp come up, ain't a preseason game come up, not a regular season game come up, and you just go automatically demote Aaron Rodgers just because Davante Adams ain't there.
Yes, I am.
Okay, all right.
I am.
All right.
That's
you're being emotional. You're being emotional. You're being emotional. Davante
Adams is that good, and he's gotten that many targets, and he's been that much better, and he's been that much better than the second receiver from the Green Bay Packers.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams have combined for 29 TDs over 2 seasons. That's the most in NFL history. I call that chemistry,
something wrong with
fellas. We'll leave it there.
Something wrong with Notorious.
No, I'm just telling you what it is.
On a Tuesday, it's going down.
I'm just telling you what it is.
He'll be back.
Something's wrong with Notorious Woody. Something's wrong with him.
Let's leave it there. I do like that nickname. I do. That's a good one. I co-sign. Still ahead on First Take, Joel Embiid with $1 total. I don't have a gambling problem. I know I was wrong, but I'm getting 1 year LOL. Stephen A., I'll start with you. Do you agree with the 1 year minimum suspension for Calvin Ridley?
Yeah, I do. So I was wrong in the discussion. Period. I understand this is not Pete Rose in baseball. Somebody that I think should be in the Hall of Fame. Somebody that I think baseball has crucified for far too long, and I've been known for saying that. In the case of Calvin Ridley, I don't want it to be an indefinite suspension or whatever. I think there should be a period at the end of that sentence. But if he's suspended for the season, so be it. Why? Because you said it. You knew you were wrong. Nobody said you had a gambling problem. I don't recall the NFL saying that. What the NFL said is that you compromised the integrity of the game. Well, what the hell are you doing? Why would you do that? If you knew you were wrong and you knew that's how they would perceive it, why would you do it? And the fact that you say it was $1,500 makes you look worse. So you're going to lose your season for $1,500? $1,500? $1,500? $1,500? That's why you're going to lose out on what? Millions? What was his salary next season? And you losing out on that because $1,500? I mean, some things in life just, Bernie Mac said it best. God rest his soul. I just don't know about us. I just don't know about us. That's what he said. I just don't know. I don't know what's wrong with us. I don't get that. The NFL, we understand there's hypocrisy here, because the NFL itself is getting involved in some gambling. We see what's going on, what's been legalized and what have you. We know owners trying to get a piece of that action. That's why former President Donald Trump had them scared to death, because he was bringing the kind of noise to them that was threatening to get in the way of what they were aspiring to capture. In terms of being involved in a world of gambling, once the Supreme Court put their hands in the cookie jar and said, hey, you can legalize this stuff from state to state. This is stuff that can be explored. So you got NFL owners and what have you looking to cash in. We get all of that. We get all the things that you can say about the NFL. We get the inconsistencies. We get the hypocrisies. We get all of that. But at the end of the day, Calvin Ridley, you said, I know I was wrong. What'd you do it for? Why? For what? Because you were out and you were bored and you decided I'm going to gamble on the sport that I play, in a lot, about a team that I play for, in a locker room that I frequent with players that I know. That's like inside information. It compromised you. $1,500. $1,500. That's why. Damn. Floor is yours, Woody.
Stephen A., let me preface what I'm about to say. I'm going to say this first. I agree with what you said. There's no question. He admitted his wrongdoing. It was something that was collectively bargained between the players and the owners, and it's in the CBA. It's in the CBA explicitly. There's no question about that. I'm not denying it. But I tweeted last night, it just don't sit right with me. This whole thing doesn't sit right with me, and you brought it up. To me, it's the hypocrisy of this whole thing. We had in the NFL, we've had commissioners throughout the years basically giving a strong arm to the league and sports gambling, because they knew this possibility would show up. And the latest commissioner, not Roger Goodell, but Paul Tagliabue, he issued explicit warnings throughout his tenure as the commissioner of the National Football League, warning about the league's relationship as it relates to sports gambling, and how he thwarted at every turn of not letting a team go to Las Vegas. We've seen ambassadors of the league, particularly Tony Dungy, who's come out and said throughout the years that we're opening Pandora's box as it relates to embracing sports gambling. And I get it, the money, and everyone's getting a cut of it, the owners, the players. We got owners that even own sports books, and we have fully embraced it as a company here at ESPN. So I get all of that. But Stephen A., don't tell me you didn't see this coming. Don't tell me you didn't see this coming as it relates to Calvin Ridley or any other player, because I can assure you there are probably other players that are doing this as well. And the league has full-throated embraced sports betting. Full-throated embrace sports betting. This would not be the first time, nor will it be the last time that we see a player caught up in this particular topic right here. I can assure you of that.
I'm going to get a little personal for a second with you, Woody.
Mm-hmm.
You have a family, you have children. You're a wonderful father. Your children love you to death. You sent them, you raised them, and you sent them out in the world every day knowing how unfair the world is. Correct?
No question.
Now, I only say that to say, you knew it was unfair, but what you did was prepare them for the unfairness and said, if you find yourself in that predicament, you're going to pay a price, as unfair as it may be. See, what I get tired of is when, I just had somebody just text me a minute ago and he ain't the only player, but, well, damn it, he's the one who got caught. That's the reality. And this is the kind of stuff that drives me crazy. Tell me in life where there's one of anything. You can't pick a crime. You can't pick a malfeasance. You can't pick an activity. You can't pick a transgression where there's only one person. There's always more. Who the one that got caught? This is the kind of stuff that drives me nuts. Because Calvin Ridley, now listen to the damage that this cost. $1,500. $1,500. For $1,500. Not only is he suspended for the season, Dane, but on top of it all, he was eligible to be a free agent. So the free agency gets pushed back an additional year because he owes the Falcons the extra year. So this brother who can ball, Calvin Ridley, a bad brother, he can ball, who was scheduled for free agency, okay, now has to wait an additional year to be eligible for free agency because he owes the year that was taken away from him back to the Atlanta Falcons for $1,500. $1,500. I'm going to say that again, $1,500. That don't make no damn sense. I'm just saying, listen, you got caught. It's a betting app. You were injured. You were not around the team, blah, 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 blah. You got boys on the team. You could call, you could find out. Yep. You want some intel, that's what they're saying. And the NFL is saying no matter how involved we are with gambling, it's a matter of public information. We ain't hiding it. And oh, by the way, we not dictating the outcome on the football field. So we're not threatening the integrity of our product. That's what they're saying, right, wrong, otherwise. That's what their position is, and it's publicly known. Calvin Ridley tried to slide this in for $1,500.
Okay. Hey, Woody, you want to respond?
Stephen A.,
I want to get in here after this.
Yeah,
so you go ahead, and then I want to take this in a different direction.
Yeah, there's another aspect that I want to bring up to you, Stephen A., and we're talking about the integrity. Here's what I want to say too as well. The league better take this Brian Flores lawsuit seriously as it relates to Stephen Ross and the allegation of him coming at Brian Flores talking about $100,000 for every loss, because you want to talk about integrity. Remember the statement the league put out basically at the beginning when the lawsuit was originally filed, how they said that this lawsuit had no merit. That's a huge allegation levied against Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins. If we want to talk about integrity,
David,
we want to slam Calvin Ridley. We want to talk about, hold on, Stephen A.
We all know the NFL. Who the hell is associated integrity with the NFL owners? Who that person? Who is that person? None of us have. We all know how shady they can be. We know how serious the Brian Flores accusation is. And we know that Stephen Ross better be exiled as an NFL owner if we find that Brian Flores allegations are to be true. But it does not absolve Calvin Ridley.
Here, let me get in here.
Okay,
You know
okay.
what, Damian, I'm glad you brought that up. And you guys talked about inconsistencies and hypocrisy. And I'd just like to read something and take this in a different direction here on International Women's Day.
Sure.
Domestic violence, dating violence, child abuse, and other forms of family violence or sexual assault involving physical force or committed against someone incapable of giving consent. A first offense will subject the offender to a baseline suspension of pay, a suspension of 6 games without pay. So I just have to say, I wish there was the same intensity and energy for protecting women and children that there is for the integrity of the game. Because again, what I just read to you, abuse and violence against women and children is 6 games, but betting is a 1-year suspension. So I'm sorry, I just cannot sit up here again on International Women's Day and not bring that up.
Well, you're absolutely right. Nobody would dispute that. We you know, one of the things I will say this, particularly in recent memory, one of the things that needs to be remembered, we got a whole bunch of men and a whole bunch of women on national television who have religiously decried the inequities in punishment handed down by the NFL when it comes to the players compared to issues just like you brought up.
Yeah, assault, violence.
Nobody condones that. There's no question about it. But in the end, the people who transgress want the rest of us to lean on those facts, because they are facts, to absolve them from what they do. And I'm saying the argument is far more profound if you don't do stuff. So we can focus on issues like you just brought up a hell of a lot more. But we don't get to do it, which we should. We should find a way to do those things. We don't do it enough because of nonsensical things like this. Calvin, really, I don't know the brother from a can of paint. I just know he can ball. He's a really special player. You sacrificed a year of your life for $1,500.
No, I'm with you, Stephen A., and it's unacceptable, and they have to protect the game, but I don't, it's just like 1 versus 6 games, for the seriousness of that, when we're talking about people's well-being.
You should be longer. You got people that should be banned. But the NFL.
Like, how do you come up with these punishments?
Well, what I can tell you what they say. Do you want to hear what they say?
Absolutely.
What they say is when the evidence dictates what they will do. That's what they say. If we have he said, she said, then we're going to, that's what, if you recall, that's why a couple of people were suspended. Just the accusation alone, they were suspended. And then all of a sudden, folks will settle out of court, and you don't have to reveal the intimate details of what transpired, and you leave it at that. But the NFL will tell you, sports leagues will tell you, excuse me, we got to have the evidence. In cases like this, they got evidence.
But
that's what they say.
But Stephen A., this isn't about accusations. This is about first offenders. So this is when it's proven. It's 6 games.
Right.
This isn't an accusation. This is first offenders.
All right. Well,
so it's not the he say, she say. It's when it's been proven.
It's not he said or she said to us. I told you what they tell us.
Yeah.
This is what they say.
Wrong.
This is what they say. And we have excoriated the NFL for years now over that issue. And we will continue to do so.
No, absolutely. We'll have much more on this later. Damian, thank you so much for your perspective. Coming up, the Packers have until 4 East trade is passing with flying colors. They've now won 6 straight since Harden joined the team last night, beating Chicago comfortably 121-106 and leapfrogging the Bucks in the standings. The Sixers are now second in the East. Joel Embiid must have heard the Joker for MVP chance because he was unstoppable. 43 points, 14 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. James Harden likes what he sees in his new squad.
We're fairly new. We got championship aspirations, and so every game is a learning process for us, no matter who we're playing. So obviously we get our rest, and Thursday, Brooklyn is going to be a tough challenge, but that's no different than tonight.
Tim Legler, you know a little something about Philly.
Hello, a little.
just a little bit.
A little bit. They're a little excited about this team.
What's up, Legs?
Yeah?
What's going on, baby?
Oh, I can only imagine.
I haven't seen anything like this. Actually exceeds any excitement they even had during the AI run. What's going on in that city right now with how excited they are about this team.
Really?
Right. He's right. The reason he's right is because the expectations
Exactly.
are bigger. Now, they knew that they weren't better than Shaq
Right.
and Kobe.
They felt that was house money,
believe-
and eventually you're going to lose to the
They
Lakers.
believe this season is there
Yes.
for them to win their first championship since
I
1980.
love that. I love that
Yeah.
insight there. Tell me this. Are the Sixers now the favorites to come out of the East?
They are for me, and I think that's the great thing about debates about who's going to win it, who's MVP. These are subjective conversations. For me, yes, they're the favorite, and the reason is this. Joel Embiid is a different guy this year. And you look at what the Bucks did last year, and I'm not going to take anything away from their championship run because they had a major breakthrough last year, but when you look at their path, it didn't involve a guy like this. And Joel Embiid, for me, the transformation in his mindset, his conditioning, his professionalism, his leadership, his maturity, he's a completely different player. I'm as impressed with his evolution in all of those areas as I have been with any player at this stage of their career from one season to the next. So this is a different dude, okay? Also, last year, the Bucks did not deal with anything like this guy healthy in the postseason. Just look at what they dealt with on their path to the finals. There was nothing that looked like this. There was nothing that looked like James Harden. This is the most potent offensive combination in the league. They control the game at the line, in the paint, from deep, if that's what it takes. They can make any shot required in the moment. Mm-hmm. The key is obviously going to be the supporting cast. Do they have enough shooting? That's always going to be a concern with them.
Right.
But Stephen A., when I look at what these two guys do to win whatever matchup is in front of them, possession by possession, for me, this combination of players puts them at the top of the list in the East because I think all of those teams, and there's 5 now that Boston has gotten into the conversation, made it interesting. There's 5 teams now you got to talk about.
Right. Well, let me say this to you. I disagree with you. Okay? My brother, Tim Legler. But
I expected that.
But part of it is emotion. Because I don't feel like driving down to Philly to apologize to Daryl Morey. I really don't. I really don't. I like Daryl, but we all know that I felt that Brooklyn got the better of this deal. But with Ben Simmons not even on the court with, don't get me started with that brother right now. With him not even on the basketball court, maybe Morey knew something we didn't know after all. Because it looks pretty brilliant right now, I got to admit it. But I will tell you this, I'm still going to hold off on that. But I'm still going to also think about the Milwaukee Bucks. And I'm going to tell you something. Milwaukee is 40-25. They are winning basketball games. The other day, Giannis looks relatively human. What happens? Middleton goes ballistic. He drops 44. Drew Holiday been balling all year long. He's shooting over about 50% from the field, shooting a good percentage from three-point range. He dropped 24 Sunday as well. And this kid, Bobby Portis, is a huge, huge deal because he fits in nicely with them. He's a big body that helps them defensively on their front line. Plus, he can step away from the basket and hit those threes. Plus, he's been a part of the team, so chemistry, cohesiveness, all of those things come into play. Now, I respect what I'm seeing from the Philadelphia 76ers. James Harden, I agree with Big Perk. We got to find out what damn diet he was on. 3 weeks ago, he was fat. I mean, the brother's toned, muscled, and all of that. What the hell was he doing over the last thing? We need to know that diet plan. We need to know that. We need to know that diet plan. Embiid is just sensational, which we will get into a little bit later. He's just something special, okay? I'm going to tell you where things give me a little cause to pause. Milwaukee's got chemistry. They're used to one another. They know who they are. Philadelphia is electric and electrifying as they could end up being. They still got that to figure out. Now, you could say over these games they've shown it to. I will remind you, Minnesota's a decent team, 7th seed in the West. 2 games against the Knicks. Let's not forget that. Okay? And we see what happens. A big victory against Chicago last night, I'll give you that. But I'm still looking at this. Philadelphia is helped by the fact that both Harden and Embiid can get to the free throw line and hit those free throws because obviously slows the game down a little bit, enables you to get back on defense, and Milwaukee's streak is coming downhill at you with Giannis. We get that. But where's the depth? The depth and the shooting are question marks for the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm not saying they can't pull it off. I'd love to see them go to the finals. But I still think Milwaukee is the team to be reckoned with at the moment.
There's something wrong with their defense. All right, I sat there courtside last weekend, and I watched Kyrie drop 38 on them by himself and win that game in Milwaukee. And Milwaukee playing everybody. Then I watched Joel Embiid get 42 and 14 in a road win in Milwaukee without James Harden before he got there. There's something different about Milwaukee's defense. It doesn't really dictate what's going on the floor the way that it did in the past. Now, maybe it's because, look, they've won a championship. It's a regular season, and maybe they're going to tighten it up.
We're waiting.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm looking at the way Philadelphia operates and the way these two particular guys can attack defenses, and I just think there's something about this offense that's going to be impossible. They're averaging 132 points a game when those guys are on the floor for 48 minutes. They've virtually been unstoppable, just like Embiid said.
Let me tell you, let me make an argument on behalf of Philadelphia that nobody has mentioned. This, to me, is the greatest argument you can make. James Harden's been under pressure since he arrived in Houston.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He's actually playing with a little house money. Because who did he replace? He replaced the dude that didn't want to step on the court. Philadelphia, think about this, because Tim knows this, Philadelphia native, me, obviously covering Philadelphia sports for the Philadelphia Inquirer for 17 years. Philadelphia, you got to show and prove. James Harden was the one dude. Just by showing up in the arena, he got a rousing ovation. Just by showing up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about the rousing ovation he got just knocking the bell. They were happy about that because that was better than what Ben Simmons gave you since last June. So knowing that, anything he does, even if he shoots, let's say, for example, he shoots 42% from the field. He shoots 35% from three-point range. He averages 26, 27, but relatively inefficient compared to what he's capable of doing. Philly is still good because it's much better than what Ben Simmons was going to give you.
Yeah.
That is the greatest argument you can make for the Philadelphia 76ers at this moment in time.
Biggest case against it, past playoff moments where you scratched your head with him.
That's right.
Joel Embiid also had a little bit of that against Toronto when they got eliminated.
That's right.
Didn't play great against Boston in the bubble when they got eliminated.
That's right.
So he has a lot to prove, but he just looks like he's different this year. I'm not worried about him. James Harden has had a couple moments where you're watching at home. We both know it, covered him in Houston, where you go, is he really playing like this tonight?
Yes.
In this moment, in the middle of a series.
That is true.
The San Antonio one, well, I'll never forget that night.
That's right.
With San Antonio sitting everybody. They're conceding game six.
Right. And blow them out.
Conceding
and
game six.
blow them out. Not just blow them out.
He took two shots in the first 16 minutes of the game, and Mike D'Antoni's going, didn't you lead the league in field goal attempts?
Yes.
What is going on? So they have a lot to prove. That, to me, is the greatest argument why you would favor Milwaukee.
Right.
Their playoff histories. And Doc also blown some 3-1 leads.
3-1 leads. Three.
So they got three guys with a lot to prove. For me, that's the greatest argument for Milwaukee is what has happened in the past with them.
Yeah.
But I still think that combination, we haven't seen anything quite like this. That's why I don't.
So out of the East, just to be clear, so you're rolling with Philly and you're Milwaukee until further notice.
As of right now, Milwaukee.
I don't like that caveat. You can't.
Yeah, I don't like that caveat either.
You sound like you're sitting on a fence.
Yeah. I am.
You can't.
I am.
With
You're
who?
not allowed.
Wait.
You let other people.
I'm Stephen A.
You don't let other people.
Stephen A. is first take. I can do that.
Stephen A., if it's not Milwaukee, then who? Then Philly?
No, to me personally, I'm still holding out hope that Brooklyn gets on the court because I think once they get on the court, I think they're lethal. My problem is that, I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling about the trade because I assume the second that Ben Simmons got there, you know what? He's going to be like, I'm out of Philly. Life is good. I didn't know he was going to be so petrified of playing in Philadelphia. I'd never see him.
He's going to be perfectly healthy at 10:15 p.m. on Thursday night.
That's right.
It's amazing. They got it down to a science.
When the game is
over. At 10:15 p.m., he's going to feel like a new man.
Unbelievable. I never saw that coming. I thought the second
you didn't see that coming?
No, I thought the second he got traded from Philly, he'd be good. And guess what? He was. Suddenly he was on the bench. He was cheering. You didn't even put out an APB for him. He was on the bench. You could see him. He was on a team bus. He was traveling with the team. He was smiling. He was slapping high fives. He was good. Somehow, some way, he could do all of that, but can't bounce a basketball. I don't understand it. I don't understand.
I think inside he still had a lot of angst about the whole situation because it's too close to Philly, and the expectation level is something he definitely didn't need right now. Not against this team. To have to get through them, oh, please give us 7 in the postseason. Yes. Those two teams.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. That would be unreal.
Absolutely.
I'm with you.
I want that too. We all want Brooklyn versus Philadelphia.
Oh, my goodness.
You know what? You got to man up and play that game. Play that series.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, Tim will be back. A little football to get into next. There are major changes in New England. $1 million million hit immediately hits the cap, but who will be throwing the ball to him? The Packers have already made a significant long-term contract offer to Aaron Rodgers that would alter the quarterback market. The Broncos also are lurking as a potential contender to land Rodgers, with a source telling ESPN that Denver is willing to compete to acquire him either through a new contract or draft pick compensation. Rodgers is weighing his options, but is expected to make a decision soon about his future in the NFL. Okay. Damian Woody back here with us. Damian, I'll start with you. How should the Adams deal dictate Aaron Rodgers' decision?
Well, listen, if Davante Adams is back, I know he's probably going to get franchised. If Davante Adams is back, I think there's a really good chance that Aaron Rodgers will be back in Green Bay, because considering that's his guy right there and been his guy for a long time. But Stephen A., make no mistake about it, the Denver Broncos should be considered a serious threat to the Green Bay Packers. And when you look at the roster, particularly on the offensive side for the Denver Broncos, one could make the case that it has better talent on that side of the ball than the Green Bay Packers right now. Just look at the skill position guys at the wide receiver position. They got Cortland Sutton, who's a dog. They got Jerry Jeudy. They got Tim Patrick. KJ Hamler, who tore his ACL this year, he's going to be back. That's 4 guys at the wide receiver position that can go off at any given time. Not to even mention Noah Fant at the tight end position. Pretty good offensive line. And Javonte Williams, the stud rookie running back from North Carolina, who will probably get the full load next year for the Denver Broncos. Listen, I've been on this show and I've said multiple times that I think that Aaron Rodgers should go back to Green Bay, because the road to get to where you want to go, i.e. the Super Bowl, is probably easiest through Green Bay in that NFC North division. But, man, when you look at the Denver Broncos and what they've acquired, throughout the past few years in the draft, that's got to be very appealing. And the one thing we know about Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't lack any confidence in his ability to elevate others. So I think Green Bay probably has an inside shot if they keep Davante Adams. But that Denver Broncos roster, particularly on the offensive side, boy, that's going to give Aaron Rodgers a long, hard pause as far as what he should do this offseason.
Maybe that's what this is all about. Maybe Aaron Rodgers is looking at the Denver Broncos. I wouldn't rule out the Tennessee Titans because they got weapons, particularly with A.J. Brown. I'm not ignoring that. That might have a lot to do with the position that Aaron Rodgers is taking in terms of being hesitant and reluctant to make a decision because he's got some real choices to consider. I would tell you this, when I think about him with Adams, I'm saying this right here. Davante Adams' situation should dictate what Aaron Rodgers does. Even though I think that Aaron Rodgers, like I said earlier, can make any wide receiver look good, Davante Adams, that's his man. That's his boy. That's his most reliable weapon. And if the Green Bay Packers can't retain him, even though that's not the case because they can always franchise him, but if they franchise him, you Davante Adams, you want to do everything that you can to avoid being on that football field because you don't want to get yourself hurt and ruin the possibility of getting a long-term deal. But that's not how it usually works in the NFL, and we get all of that. I'm just saying that if you're Aaron Rodgers, if that's going to be some kind of fractious situation where they're not able to get Davante Adams locked in long-term, why wouldn't you want to stay? Why wouldn't you want to go to Denver with Gordon and Javonte Williams and Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton and those brothers? They definitely got some weapons. And plus, if you like a challenge, could you imagine the AFC West? It's Justin Herbert, it's Derek Carr, and of course Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I'm looking at that, and if you Aaron Rodgers and you that kind of bad brother, that doesn't faze you. That's a challenge that you want to embrace. So I look at all of those things, him going up against any of those young guns, and in Derek Carr's case, a little bit older than the young gun. I'm just saying that, look, I understand it. And if Davante Adams' situation dictates what Aaron Rodgers should do, and that is the holdup with all of this, I perfectly understand where Aaron Rodgers comes from. I'm sick and tired of talking about him. I don't think that it deserves to be as big of a headline because he lost, he didn't win, he ain't walking around as some champion. But if the whole reason for this hesitancy, the whole reason for this delay is that Aaron Rodgers is waiting around to see what happens to Davante Adams, then it does all make sense. And he's not being Mr. Wrangler Jeans like Brett Favre and just trying to steal headlines because he can't make up his damn mind. No, he's waiting to see what happens with Davante Adams. If that's the case, I don't have an issue with it.
Stephen A., let me ask you a question, man, because it's really bothering me. Why in the world would it take Davante Adams Aaron Rodgers this long to make a decision? We've chronicled this whole situation with the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers since last offseason.
Wait a minute, I just explained.
Aaron Rodgers talked about on the Pat McAfee show numerous times how well the relationship is with Gutekunst and Mark Murphy and all those guys throughout the season. So why in the hell is this taking it this long?
Because decided whether or not they're going to franchise tag him yet. Plus, you don't know Davante Adams' reaction. Let's say, for example, they franchise tag him by 4 o'clock this afternoon, and Davante Adams has no issue with it whatsoever. Then you good. But if you sign him to the franchise tag and Davante Adams is ticked off, wants no part of the organization, is hell-bent on getting the hell up out of there, then it's an easier decision for Aaron Rodgers to make as it pertains to whether or not he should stay or go. That's it. That's it. Woody knows.
That's
it.
Woody knows.
Okay.
Woody knows when his boy is right.
Listen, Marlon, I'm not lost for words. It's just, listen, you've been with the organization, man, we've been talking about this topic ad nauseum, man, for it seemed like over a year.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're still sitting here tapping your toes and you don't know if you want to be with the Green Bay Packers. Davante Adams is not going anywhere. The Green Bay Packers are going to be adamant about keeping Davante Adams. So, I mean, what the hell is the issue with Aaron Rodgers and making a decision? Because guess what? There's a lot of other guys that's waiting around on Aaron Rodgers to make his decision so they know their fate on that roster.
But Woody, don't you think we could get an
They
answer
still
on
got to
Aaron
put a
Rodgers?
team around Aaron Rodgers.
Don't you think we could get an answer on Aaron Rodgers this week?
I mean, we should have gotten an answer from Aaron Rodgers already. I mean, what the hell is the problem here? They still got to put a team around Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. There's so many guys that are free agents that are possibly salary cap casualties. They need answers. I don't understand what the wait is all about.
I do think it's going to come down soon.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, Woody's Woody. We understand what Woody's saying. You know, look, Picasso, look, Liberace, go back there and play your piano.
Yeah, when is that happening?
And you know what?
When is that going to happen?
And one of these days, I'm telling you right now, one of these days, I'm going to literally get up out of this chair, and I'm going to go to the piano. And I'm just going to play. You're going to be pontificating about something, and I'm going to go out there and just start playing the piano.
Really?
We're available.
I'm waiting, Woody. When you going to play?
I'm still taking my lessons. I'm not getting on national TV until I'm ready.
Hold it.
Ready.
So you taking lessons. How long you lived there, man? You should have had this down pat. How long you lived there, man? How long you had that piano?
Man, listen. Man, I've had this since, 12 years?
What? Exactly. What the hell you doing taking lessons? You should have been there.
That's not fair. He was busy winning Super Bowls. He finally has some time to settle down. I like that. Never stop learning.
When did this man retire?
New hobbies.
When did this man retire?
When are you going to get a new hobby?
How you know I don't have any?
Oh.
Don't sleep on a brother. Don't sleep on a brother. I'm good.
Hey, don't worry.
Like I don't want to know what those hobbies are. By the way, your tone just changed, so let's just go to break. Let's just go to break on Stephen A's hobbies. Damian, I can't. I can't. Oh, coming up, Russell fifth career win. Pop reaching that mark in 370 less games than Nelson. He will have a chance to break that record tomorrow versus the Raptors. Stephen A., is Pop the greatest coach in NBA history?
I don't know about that. He's right there. It's a discussion. It's an argument. You got to think about Red Auerbach. You got to think about Phil Jackson. You can't summarily dismiss them because of Greg Popovich. Greg Popovich is an outstanding coach, but he had Tim Duncan. He had David Robinson. But he's definitely top 3 all time. I just think that I look at Phil Jackson and what he was able to do, and Red Auerbach and what he was able to do all of those years in Boston. I can't say definitively he's the greatest. He's one of the greatest, yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving and bring back in Tim Legler. Joel Embiid went off last night, showing why he currently is in the lead in Vegas to win NBA MVP. Embiid put up 43 points to go with his 14 rebounds to defeat the Bulls. The win catapulted Philly to second place in the East and just 3 games behind for the top spot. Nikola Jokic is not going to give up his reign that easy. The big man led his Nuggets to a win against the Warriors while putting up his second straight triple-double, 32 points, 15 rebounds, and 13 assists. Production. Stephen A., we'll start with you, though. Who's the more talented big man, Embiid or the Joker?
I'm going to go with Embiid, but I got to tell you something. I watched Jokic last night. Good God. This brother can't jump onto a curb, okay? He can't jump onto a curb. Just a big tub of lard, all right? And damn can he play. He just can't. I mean, this dude is, Jokic is something special. So it's right there, just so you know, because we weren't on together. We haven't been on together in a while, but that will change. Here's the deal. I got it as a 14 race when you think about league MVP honors between Embiid, DeMar DeRozan, Jokic, and John Morant. That's me. And, of course, I'll throw Giannis in there as well. As a
You
top
leave one
5.
guy out.
Who?
Luka's got to be in the conversation now.
Luka?
He has to
You
be.
know what? Yeah.
I'm not saying he'll be MVP, but you got it. You can't leave off that list.
I was just talking about who I got in the lead.
Okay.
I know
Okay.
Luka's
Didn't
doing
mean to
his
interrupt
thing,
you,
but Dallas is like a fifth seed,
Okay.
that kind of thing. That's all it was. But I got those teams ahead of him. I got those players ahead of him. But Luka's having a special year, no doubt. Here's why I'm going with Embiid. First of all, the brother averaging 29 and 11 on 49% shooting, 35% for three-point range. We know what Embiid brings to the table from a skill perspective. Not saying that Jokic doesn't have that. Jokic doesn't have the necessary athleticism that Embiid has. Why am I bringing that up, Tim? Because even though it has nothing to do with the MVP race or anything like that, no matter what I saw from Jokic, I always said, wait till Anthony Davis goes up against him. Like when the Lakers won the title in the bubble. Because against big dudes who are athletic, he can't do what he does against everybody else. Now, Jokic deserves all the credit in the world because anybody less than that, he abuses like he's supposed to. And I mean really, really abuses them. I mean, this dude is something special. He really, really is, okay? Okay? And I also think that he's being helped by DeMarcus Cousins being there because DeMarcus Cousins can spell for him off the bench because DeMarcus Cousins, no matter how people may feel about him, the brother can ball, and he's got no business being on 10-day contracts. DeMarcus Cousins actually should have a contract in this league. He does now for the rest of the season, but he should actually have a multi-year contract because he can play, all right? But Jokic is a bad brother. But Embiid, you talk about the athleticism, you talk about the ability to run, to perform in the open court, to pull up from three, to have a mid-range game, to play with his back to the basket. There's nothing that Jokic does that Embiid can't do. But there are athletic things that Embiid can do that Jokic can't, because the brother can't jump on a curb, okay?
Yeah.
But he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. And he might win MVP again. But if I had to pick just my choice between Embiid and Jokic, it would be Embiid.
Two different questions, I think. Who's going to be the MVP and who's the better all-around player?
Hold that thought because I've got some breaking news for you.
All right.
Stephen A., this involves that bad man, Aaron Rodgers.
What?
This just in. Breaking news into First Take this morning. The Packers are set to extend Aaron Rodgers on a 4-year, $200 million deal. That would be $50 million per year. The offer came in on Friday. He mulled over and came to a decision. Rodgers wanted a longer deal to ensure no more year-to-year issues or distractions per source.
So he's definitely accepting the offer. Okay, you want my response?
Yeah.
So what? Congratulations. So, Aaron Rodgers is phenomenal. He deserves every penny that he's getting. Congratulations. I knew that. He's going to be great next season. I knew that. I know that. I knew he's going to be great this past season. I knew that. The season before that, I knew that. I'm waiting for the Super Bowl.
Okay.
You got $50 million a year. Can I get a chip? Can I get a chip? Can we see Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau Field? Now, you know, I'm on. Everybody know me, Tim Legler, Damian Woody. I coined the phrase. He's a bad man. I love this brother. Aaron Rodgers is phenomenal, but he let me down. He let me down with the fake immunization, all of that other stuff. And then after that, to come in and wet the bed against Jimmy Garoppolo, where I got to listen to her talk about Jimmy G as if he was relevant.
You got to admit, Shanahan, hold on,
he had nothing to do with it.
I didn't say Jimmy G. I said Shanahan has the Packers number. We know that for
Shanahan's
sure.
phenomenal. But what I'm saying is, Jimmy G, I got to listen to, like he has something to do with it. It's special teams that won that game. But the point is, I heard all that. You got your money, bro. Yeah. Congratulations, well deserved. You gonna win the chip? That is the question with Aaron Rodgers. Super Bowl or bust as far as his legacy over the next 3-4 years. You got to win the chip.
Yeah, and that's the number that really matters. The $153 million that's guaranteed. That's what matters in the NFL. I want to bring in Damien Woody. Damien, as we just heard, the breaking news, Aaron Rodgers agreeing to stay with the Packers. He's going to be the highest paid player in NFL history, $50 million a year, $200 over 4 years, $153 guaranteed. He's 38 years old, a decade removed from winning a Super Bowl. What's your reaction?
Thank God this deal got done, because we were, how many different ways could we remix this same topic? How many different ways could we talk about Aaron Rodgers? But listen, like Stephen A. said, it wasn't like he wasn't going to get his money. The Green Bay Packers been told us that they were going to do whatever they had to do to get to bring Aaron Rodgers back into the fold. So the money aspect was never an issue, a sour issue here. He was always going to get paid. The biggest thing here is, can Aaron Rodgers add on to his legacy as far as rings is concerned? Because he's done everything else. 4-time MVP, one of the greatest throwers of the football that we've ever seen as far as arm talent is concerned. Now, we need to see this man back in a Super Bowl. Because Stephen A., when was the last time he was in the Super Bowl? 2010? 2010? For as great as bad as this man the last time we seen him was 2010 in the Super Bowl, and going back-to-back home game, losing in the NFC Championship games in Lambeau Field. Nothing less than a Super Bowl is acceptable for Aaron Rodgers. That's why I say he should go back to Green Bay, because the road to get to the Super Bowl is easiest in Green Bay, in that division, in that conference. So holler at me when he's back in the Super Bowl. That's all I care about at this point moving forward.
Can I just say one thing? What did I just say to you? I said, I think this will come down this week. Am I not a prognosticator or what, right? When we just wrapped up this segment, Damien Woody, you rolled your eyes. I said, Damien, I think it'll happen this week. And what? We take a commercial break.
Is that why?
And then look what happened.
Is that why you wore a mixture of the Green Bay colors to work today?
No, I wore this because neon's really in for spring, and I like to be ahead of the trends.
Right. Is it spring yet?
Okay.
No, but it's not spring. Yes, it is. It's March.
Okay.
March is spring.
Not March 21st.
Oh, my goodness. Only you would know the details of it. Speaking of details, Jeremy Fowler has that. You're unbelievable, Stephen A. Jeremy Fowler joining us after the break with all the details on Aaron Rodgers, now the highest paid man in the NFL ever, staying with the Green Bay Packers. We'll be right back. This is First. Into First Take this morning regarding Aaron Rodgers. Damien Woody still here with us, but I want to bring in Jeremy Fowler now. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us here on quick notice. What is the latest on Rodgers? What can you tell us?
Well, it looks like the indications are, despite some last-minute details that most likely need to be worked out, Aaron Rodgers will be returning to the Green Bay Packers. I know that the Packers have made an offer in recent days, a long-term offer that will be very strong and should alter the quarterback market in some way. Where those numbers come in at the moment are still unclear, but it will be hefty, and it should create a lane for Aaron Rodgers to be a Packer long-term. The Packers were all in from this offseason to get this done with Aaron, and it looks like it is trending that way despite some other considerations.
Jeremy, appreciate you being on the show. There's a lot that's been made over the last few weeks about all these headlines surrounding Aaron Rodgers and when he was going to make his decision, whether he was going to stay or go or whatever. What insight could you provide to us as it pertains to whatever level of trepidation he may have had before ultimately reaching this agreement with the Green Bay Packers?
Yes, well, I believe the Denver consideration was real. Denver made clear that they were going to be all in, either from a contractual standpoint or a draft compensation standpoint. Part of the problem was Green Bay was always in the driver's seat. You know, they didn't want to trade Aaron Rodgers. You know, a source told me that there was going to be a very, very hefty price tag if, in fact, Rodgers was going to try to force a trade, which it looks like he has not done. You know, but it would be so difficult for the team trying to acquire Rodgers that it would cripple them in a big way based on all that Green Bay would have wanted back. But the point was they never wanted it to even get there. You know, they wanted to secure Rodgers to where he can be their quarterback going into his 40s. You know, he's 38 right now. We see quarterbacks play a long time in this era, and so it looks like Rodgers will be ready to do that for Green Bay. But, you know, he had considered Denver. I mean, certainly they were on the table from all that I've heard, and they were a viable option.
What, if anything, does this mean for Davante Adams? I mean, you know, obviously Aaron Rodgers' contract chewing up some money. They can franchise tag him by 4 o'clock today or whatever. But what's the future looking like for Davante Adams in a Green Bay Packers uniform now that Aaron Rodgers has agreed to this deal?
Well, the Packers have till 4 p.m. today to franchise tag Davante Adams. That has not happened yet. I do expect that it will. Even if it doesn't for some reason, you know, they will try to hash out something with Adams, knowing that pairing him with Rodgers for the long term is the best play for them. You know, from what I was told, they don't want to let a player of Adams' caliber walk out of their building. And so if they have to use the tag to secure that, it'd be about $20 million in change for this coming year. Davante Adams would make much more than that if he was on the open market. They don't want to see that happen. They want to keep him in that jersey. So, you know, it's going to be the next domino to fall. They also have some other players they want to try to re-sign. You got Devondre Campbell, all-pro linebacker. So a lot on the table for Green Bay for a team that's $28 million roughly over the salary cap just a little over a week before free agency. So if this Roger domino has fallen, they not only secure him long-term at big money, but they can lessen his salary cap hit and do some other things to try to build a winner around him right now.
Jeremy, before we let you roll, obviously we've been talking about this decision ad nauseum. What else was Aaron Rodgers weighing in ultimately, you know, coming to this decision of returning to Green Bay?
Well, certainly it was a eventful couple of years of the drafting of Jordan Love in the first round, you know, and so Rodgers wanted to know that not only would he be secure long-term in Green Bay, but would he have a good relationship with the front office? He was surprised by the Jordan Love pick. And, you know, from all that I was told, the Packers were all in from last offseason on not only bringing him back and pumping confidence in him that he's their guy moving forward as an MVP, but that they wanted to foster a good relationship. You know, they really worked at keeping him informed, making him feel like he's part of the process, you know, considering him in their moves. And they've shown that over the last 6 months, and I'm told that's gone a long way with Rodgers. So whatever happens over the next week with his contract and with the team, you know, they feel like they try to maximize their efforts.
Jeremy, so appreciate your perspective. Great job getting this story. You and NFL Network, the first to report it. We'll talk to you more soon. I know it'll be a busy day for you. Thanks again for the time.
Thanks, Molly. Appreciate it.
Okay. Now we'll bring in Damian Woody. Damian, want to get your perspective on what you just heard from Jeremy, giving us more context on Aaron Rodgers staying with the Green Bay Packers for 4 years.
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, now that, you know, it seems like this deal is pretty much done, I think a lot of dominoes are going to start to fall for the Green Bay Packers. They had a lot of guys. They had to make a decision about a lot of guys on their roster as far as, you know, are we going to keep these guys? You know, are we going to, you know, cut? What we're going to do with a lot of those guys? And primarily, a lot of those decisions had to be, you know, on hold because they were waiting on Aaron Rodgers. Well, now they're starting to get a clearer picture as far as Aaron Rodgers is concerned. Now more moves are going to be made. Also, you heard, you know, Jeremy talking about Jordan Love. You know, where does he stand now as it relates to the Green Bay Packers? Do they trade him? You know, because I mean, because.
No, it's true though, Damian. It is true.
No. I'm asking because Damian's making me laugh. Damian making me laugh.
Why?
What do y'all mean? Now they gotta make a decision about Love. Look, Love. Look. Now you can hold this clipboard. You can hold this clipboard and be that beautiful practice player that we believe in you to be, or we gonna move you if we can get equitable compensation for you. There's only two options. I mean, essentially, Jordan Love's career in Green Bay is over, unless he wants to wait another 4 or 5 years before he cracks a start lineup in a regular season game. That's what that is. Let's not lie to the American public. Jordan Love,
I mean, look.
I'm not. Listen, I'm not lying.
You got some potential.
I'm not lying. I'm just saying-
Listen. They ain't show no love for love. We understand that. A valid reason why. There's no shame. There's no shame because you Aaron Rodgers backup. Now, if Jay Cutler or somebody was a starter and they did this to you, that would be a different ballgame. That's not the issue here. Aaron Rodgers is not going anywhere. That means Jordan Love is. Okay, so just look, Jordan Love, just think about various opportunities around the NFL that are available to you. You understand? And go there because you damn sure ain't gonna be playing in Green Bay. Let's not act like it. Let's not act like we don't know.
So it's vindication clearly for Aaron Rodgers.
Well, you could say vindication for Aaron Rodgers. Listen, the Green Bay Packers never denied the value of Aaron Rodgers. The problem was they weren't treating him with the respect he deserved. Their attitude is, we gave you the money, so shut up. And he didn't appreciate being disrespected like that, not being valued, not having his opinion taken into consideration and stuff like that. So they mended fences with that relationship here. But they didn't have any questions about this brother and what they could talk all that nonsense what they want to about a couple of struggling seasons when he was injured. But when Aaron Rodgers is healthy, we all knew what he did. We all knew what he was capable of doing. And they knew coming into this last season what Aaron Rodgers was capable of. So that wasn't no issue.
Hold that thought. Quick commercial break. We're going to come right back. And
Jordan
I've got
Love.
a question for you, Stephen A., about this bad man after this break.
Stop it, man.
You
Stop
are
it.
so disrespectful.